Dogs chew for 3 different reasons really. One, obviously teething, and also the second phase is the exploratory phase, just like human babies need to put everything in their mouth. And also the third phase is to relieve boredom. And gnawing is a really normal and natural part of a dog's behaviour, and it releases endorphins, which helps to keep the animal calm. So people shouldn't get upset if their dog's chewing. They need to look at why. Is it teething? Give it different appropriate toys with different textures so that the dog can have the necessary relief from the pain of new teeth coming through. And also teach the dog to chew on appropriate articles. Dogs also will do anything that gets attention, whether it's good or bad. So you need to be mindful too, is the dog bored and frustrated? And by grabbing your favourite shoes, he's getting your undivided attention for the few minutes when you're screaming at him and chasing him around the garden. Can also be linked to pain obviously as well, because dogs will do it to release some calming chemicals in the body and also to relieve anxiety. So there may be a trigger such as noise sensitivity that results in the dog desperately trying to chew just to self-calm. So it's a very normal, natural part of dog behaviour. The mouth is also linked to learning, and certainly studies show that children, if they're chewing when they're being taught new skills, actually retain most of that information more than a child whose jaw is not moving. So it's a really important part of development, just mentally as well as physically. It's also linked to the dog's ability to process new information, and dogs that lack focus are often very mouthy and very slow to mature physically and mentally. In the Tellington method, we use a brilliant technique called mouth work, where we're working around the outside of the dog's jaw, around the hinge point for the jaw, all through the bottom jaw, all around the muzzle area, and then also rubbing and working around the gums inside the mouth. It's a brilliant way of helping animals to self-calm and improving focus. If you have a dog that chews, for sure learn some of the Tellington techniques. Stroking the dog's ears from the base right out to the tip also helps the dog to self-calm, and it also reduces tension that may be present around the dog's forehead. Sometimes the dogs that we see that chew excessively are very overdeveloped in the muscles across the forehead, and whether the chewing triggered the overdevelopment of the muscle or the muscle was tight and the dog was chewing in a bid to relieve that is really irrelevant as far as we're concerned. You also need to teach your dog that he is allowed to chew, and he has an outlet for that natural behaviour by teaching him that chewing his own toys that you've given him, that he can chew and relieve any stress and tension that may be going on in his body, is appropriate. And you need to teach him appropriate games with appropriate toys too, and also the off and leave cue. Because if he's picking up something he's not allowed, asking him to quietly leave it and redirecting him and praising him for picking an alternative toy, it goes a long way to helping dogs overcome this problem. Dogs that chew often tend to be very vocal, so may overly bark as well, and also rag on clothing. So you need to look at the dog as a whole, not just try and punish it for chewing the table leg or your favourite shoes. And a lot of dogs that chew also tend to food bolt, so extending feeding time so they actually have to work for their food can go a long way to helping dogs be more settled when they're in the home. So you can use stuffed Kongs, teaching them to search for food, dropping it in the garden, so it becomes more of an activity rather than just the act of just swallowing that food. So many ways to help dogs overcome problems with chewing, and also obviously frustration and boredom is a key factor in trying to when we need to address this problem behaviour. So lots of different games, lots of stimulation, mental stimulation as well, games that encourage the dog to look for food by sliding blocks, lifting blocks out. Brilliant games on the market that help dogs overcome a variety of problems and also help to develop the bond between the owner and their animal.